This is KGW News at noon.
We start today's newscast with a live look from our Lincoln City Skycam. Spots along the coast have seen heavy rain at times today. Similar look right now in downtown Portland as we take a look from our Rose City Skycam, although showers have eased up a bit here in the city as we enter the noon hour. Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Drew Carney. We're going to shift things right over to Rod Hill in the Weather Center. So Rod, you and I were just talking a few minutes ago. It was raining heavier downtown earlier. Things just easing up a bit right now.
Yeah, and now I think the story is going into the afternoon, Drew, is we're starting to get to the end of what's been a bit of a lull in the action. There's been some rain around, but not a whole lot. We're going to get more stormy, I think, as we get rolling through the afternoon hours. So here's what's just happened in the last 5 minutes. A lightning strike detected offshore from Newport. And remember, we do have thunderstorms starting this afternoon as at least a possibility. Now, right now, you can see it's mostly scattered, fairly gentle showers, but my messaging is that this is going to be increasing action. You can see a big low offshore. It is coming a little bit closer to us. We're going to continue to see showers pick up and move inland, and that rain will turn heavy at times. Check out Futurecast. Let's jump you to 4:30 this afternoon. Look at the heavy rain pockets lined up, getting ready to come in. And again, that could happen much before 4:30. That's just the frame that I chose to show you. We are at 60 right now, pretty much the high for the day. So moving forward, look for the rain to be picking up, heavy rain pockets to be picking up, that chance of thunder and maybe some gusty winds in your afternoon, evening forecast. Drew?
All right, more from Rod coming up here in a few minutes. But right now, we want to get to our top news story this afternoon. It comes from Gaston, where the Washington County Sheriff's Office arrested a man accused of firing a gun while being chased by law enforcement earlier this morning. We had a crew on the scene in Gaston when deputies took the suspect into custody. He's 27-year-old Zachary Phillips. The Sheriff's Office says the chase started after a deputy tried to pull a vehicle over for a traffic violation near Forest Grove. The driver didn't stop, though, and led deputies on that chase into Gaston. That's where he got out of the vehicle and ran away. He's also accused of trying to carjack someone while authorities were looking for him. Shortly after 7:30 this morning, the Sheriff's Office says they found Phillips and arrested him.
The most important thing is he's in custody. The community of Gaston has had a lot of social media talk right now. We want to make sure that everyone knows that he is in our custody and he is being transported towards the Washington County Jail as we speak.
There were two other people in the car with Phillips. The Sheriff's Office says one of them was also arrested. Our crew there on the scene learned that an Oregon State trooper was treated after the arrest for what looked like minor injuries to their arm. Let's take a look at some other headlines we're following this afternoon, starting with a prison that's shutting down today. Larch Correction Center will close today after a last-ditch effort to keep it open failed. The union representing workers there was seeking an injunction for it to stay open, but a judge denied that motion yesterday. The state says at this point, the majority of workers have accepted position at other facilities or state agencies, and they also say that all the inmates in the prison have already been transferred. State officials also say the prison is closing because of a decline in the number of inmates. One of the factors behind that decline is the state of Washington is sentencing fewer people for drug crimes. Oregonians are set to get a record-setting $5.6 billion in a kicker refund next year. Oregon has a law in place that requires the state to return money to taxpayers if the revenue for the state comes in more than was originally projected. So you can expect to see roughly 44% of the income taxes you paid in 2022 to come back to you in the form of a credit on your 2023 return. To see how much you can expect exactly, we have a kicker calculator set up on our website. Check it out at kgw.com. Last headline here, former Washington Congresswoman Jamie Herrera Butler is reportedly jumping back into public service. The Seattle Times reports that she's running for state lands commissioner, but hasn't filed yet. Herrera Butler represented Southwest Washington's 3rd district for more than a decade, but lost in the primary last year to Joe Kent, who was endorsed by former President Donald Trump. She was one of the few Republicans who voted to impeach the former president over the January 6th attacks. And that's a look at some of your local headlines. Also locally this afternoon, frustrated parents in the Tiger-Tualatin School District are voicing concerns that the district is perpetuating a pattern of violence. Several parents showed up to complain to the school board in person before a meeting last night, but that meeting wound up being held virtually. The district says they closed early over reports of a rally that was planned for outside of their offices. In the online meeting, parents voiced their anger over what they say is a lack of accountability for students who act out.
Students at Hazelbrook know that aggressors have no real consequences and that violence simply continues.
Hazelbrook Middle School is consumed by a culture of tolerance towards hate and violence, disguised as healing and restorative.
This all stems from an incident last month when one student violently attacked another at Hazelbrook Middle School in Tualatin. It was all recorded and went viral on social media. Many online claim the attacking student, that is, was transgender and that the other student was a young girl. They say other young girls at the school also are in danger. The district said the attack was part of a social media challenge to record a fight and post it online for views. Then multiple serious school threats came in because of that social media post. The school was evacuated eventually and canceled for 2 days. Police have since arrested the attacking student in that video, as well as another that posted a threat on social media.
More than 1,000 civilians slaughtered, not just killed, slaughtered in Israel. Among them, at least 14 American citizens killed.
Just a few minutes ago, President Biden addressed the ongoing situation in the Middle East, condemning the actions taken by Hamas, comparing them to ISIS. During that address, we learned that the total number of American citizens killed in the conflict so far is already up to 14, with Hamas holding others as hostages. President Biden also reiterated his commitment to support of Israel. Meanwhile, Israel has said its border with Gaza is now secure. Officials claim the bodies of about 1,500 militants have been found 4 days after Hamas fighters launched a brutal surprise attack. NBC's Kelly Kobiea has an update for us this afternoon from Tel Aviv.
Well, we are in a hospital lobby, the largest hospital in all of Israel here in central Tel Aviv, and this has been turned into a blood donation center. They were adding beds as we arrived. That's how large the outpouring is to donate blood. In fact, there's a line all the way down the hospital corridor of people waiting to donate. On the ground in Israel, the Israeli Defense Forces say they are amassing troops on the border with Gaza. They are continuing this counteroffensive in the air, some 200 strikes on Islamic Jihad and Hamas positions inside Gaza. They say they hit 2 mosques, one of which they say was a command center, the other a place where weapons were being stored. But for civilians in Gaza, the situation is increasingly dire. The United Nations says 187,000 people are now displaced. The vast majority of them are being cared for in shelters. There are nearly 800 dead now, among them more than 100 children. There are images of children being pulled out of the rubble of buildings by rescue workers and put into ambulances. And the UN also says that the hospitals are just barely functioning now, that they're running very low on medicine and on fuel used to power the generators to keep those hospitals running. Kelly Kobiea, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
We wake up to entire families taken. Children clinging to their mothers, bodies in their kitchens. Not one person in Israel feels safe today.
Members of Portland's Jewish community came together to express their outrage over the war at this event in Southwest Portland last night that was hosted by the Jewish Federation of Portland.
It's our extended family, and right now they're going through this horrible trauma, this unprecedented, unprovoked, brutal terrorist attack.
Both of Oregon's senators, along with Representatives Bonamici and Blumenauer, spoke at last night's event as well. The Jewish Federation of Portland has set up an emergency fund to help support the people of Israel. You can make a donation at jewishportland.org. You can also look for the latest developments on the situation in the Middle East, both here on the air and online at KGW.com. We have much more coming up later tonight on NBC News. Again, that's coming up later this evening right here on this very same station.